I mean, the big question is going to be is how's this club doing right now? I mean, because obviously he's an A's great, and we can sit here and we can talk about all the things he's done in his career. The big question is he going to be able to bring home a fantasy camp championship? He and this guy Carney. How we doing, Skip?
Well,
how we doing out there?
Well, if you asked me yesterday, pretty good so far today. We started out a little slow this morning, and we got a very close 2-0 game going on back there right now.
Well, this is the year that you cannot allow Dallas Braden. This is what Carney kind of said it's your guys' year.
Well, that was yesterday when we were 1-0 and we beat Dallas yesterday. So we were kind of feeling pretty good about it.
He was actually here right after you beat Dallas too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why he was feeling that way.
Well, and I'm not going to throw my team under the bus, but we might have had a few guys that might have missed curfew last night, and I think it's showing today. And, we need to get those guys back on track.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think they were with us last night.
So you're to blame for this poor performance today. Okay.
Me, technically? I don't drink, so it wasn't me, but I was with the crew.
Yes.
And I may have bought.
And I heard that the crew was out late. Now we're forced to check on beds tonight, to make sure the team is in where they're supposed to be.
You could say that the hotel personnel came to us multiple times to be quiet.
And I even heard through the grapevine that there was part of the staff that found extra rooms so that the participants didn't have to go to bed.
I knew the Rotary Club while you guys were playing, and I was going through the hotel yesterday. The Rotary Club was in this big room, and I noticed that they were in there. So last night when we were being kicked out of the hotel bar, you know what? It actually is my fault.
That's what I'm looking at.
It's my fault.
The more I'm staring at you stuttering right now, it is 100% your fault for this poor.
I found the extra room for everybody to party last night.
We got the weakest link right here, right now.
We just talked to Zach Geloff, and we talked to Ryan Noda, and then we had Nick Allen right here. Young players, all talking about one thing: winning. Even though, the good things, the bad things, the things they accomplished, the things that they're trying to do this offseason, a young group of men, all they want to talk about is winning. And I think about when you guys were young and you were coming up, because right now, as you know, everything's so negative. Everything is so harsh. What does it mean to you that you got a bunch of young, really good athletes, these young A's, who are coming to spring training? They don't want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about how last year stunk and they don't want that again and they want to win. What does that mean to you?
That means a lot. And I think the reason for that is the team that developed in, my era of baseball, especially our group coming through the minors, we had probably 10 to 15 of us that ended up in the big leagues that won in A-ball, won in double-A ball. Next year in double-A ball, finished second. So we had a group of guys that culturally were winning. And you carry that up into, the big leagues. And you surround those winners, in our case, with some veteran players. And next thing you know, we're on a great run. So I'm excited to hear that these younger players, instead of, talking about the potential dollars that are out there, and you see the big signings in baseball, instead of dreaming one day that's going to be me, I like to hear that it is about winning. We just had Tony La Russa was here visiting us a little bit, and we were in our locker room talking, and we talked about how we feel watching baseball has changed a little bit in the sense of playing winning baseball. And the way Tony did with us in Oakland, where he won in St. Louis, it was about getting the guy over, getting the guy in, taking a pitch so Ricky could steal. We were teasing Carney about that. And then one of the best things was Carney takes the pitch, Ricky steals, Carney moves him over, Jose or Dave Henderson drives them in. I mean, and here we are, 1-0, and that philosophy, in our opinion, has seemed to have gotten lost on some teams. We talked to Dallas, who sees a lot of games, and yesterday after this, we were kind of talking shop about that. And we're excited to hear that, especially with Oakland, because you can do a lot of things if you're playing fundamental baseball. You can do a lot of things if you got everybody believing that we need to play winning baseball. We need to get that guy over, get that guy in. And if you get the team believing that, you can accomplish a lot of things.
Now, if you don't beat yourself, you can't say that enough. Like, if you play defense, because like when we saw the team in 18 and 19, when they won 97 games 2 straight years, which was only good enough for a wild card spot. Hard to believe. But that, like we talked about, the hallmark of those teams really was, everyone talk home runs. It was great defense. So it's like, if you play defense, you got some athletes and you pitch a little bit, you got a chance.
You got a chance. Okay. So go back to our era of playing. What does everybody remember about the 88, 89, 90 teams? The Bash Brothers, the home runs, and all this stuff. What doesn't get talked about is we were like second or third in the league in defense all of those years, which is, was agreeing, with the statement that you're saying. If you do play that defense, if you put emphasis on that, don't give the good teams extra outs. That's how they're going to come and beat you.
Well, think how good you were, like you behind the dish, Carney at third, Walt Weiss, who we still bring on the program, was with the Atlanta Braves. You had a mixture of second basemen. Mark McGwire was better at first base, and Big Mac on this program told us the thing that he's most proud of is his Gold Glove. Absolutely. He was better than you thought. So you guys, and then you had athletes in the outfield.
Right.
Jose was better when he was younger.
Yes.
You had Ricky, you had Hindu. Yep. So, like, defensively, you guys were good.
We were solid, yeah. But again, so many people go back, and as soon as you mention those teams, right away they think offense, and obviously pitching, all right? But that defense is probably the third or fourth thing that was talked about, and we prided ourselves in that. We had drills and stuff in spring training that we did to make sure that we didn't lack on our defense. The reps of double play balls, the reps that the infielders took, the reps that we did as catchers, from blocking balls to throwing to the different bases and different bunt situations, and it kind of went unnoticed. But when you go to the grand scheme of things of what it takes to develop a winning team or an era of winning, it comes down to doing the little things.
I think about catcher, and a lot of people, I used to get into this with our great friend Ray Fosse. It's like you just don't, because early in his career, it's one thing to be a catcher. It's also to be a catcher and to be an offensive catcher. And Ray was an offensive catcher before he got hurt. Obviously, you were an offensive catcher. It's so tough because there's the physical part of the game where just you get banged up night after night after night. You've got to know all your pitchers. You got to know what makes them tick, what they can throw under pressure, how they're feeling. You got to know starters, relievers. You got to know the other team's hitters. You got to know all of that. And then you have the pressure of being an offensive catcher. What was that like? Because it's one thing if you're just a defensive guy, that's all they expect.
Yeah.
But when I want you to perform and be an offensive guy and all that I talked about, how tough is that?
It's tough. And I loved it. And I made this comment to many people. If I didn't want to be known just as a one-sided catcher. Like I didn't want to be known, oh, he's a good defensive guy. Oh, he calls a good game. I wanted to be known that if I have the ability to hit 300, then be a 300 hitter and do what you're supposed to do behind the plate. It's no different than our other positional players. We had good defensive guys. Oh, they're not supposed to hit. Carney's, playing hard at third, but we don't need his bat. No, we need everybody's bat. So I prided myself in trying to stay within myself and doing what I was capable of doing. Was I capable of being a 40 home run? No, but I was capable of using gap to gap and using the field that I was taught how to use. And I wanted to make sure that I stayed in that. And I was probably hard on myself offensively because I felt I could do more than catching a good game and being a 220, 230 hitter.
Yeah, you're far better than that.
Yeah.
You're far better than that.
Well, thank you.
Seeing Tony La Russa here today, what is it like? Because since it's fantasy camp and, Terry Steinbach and we get to hang with him, World Series champion, All-Star game MVP, and, you got Stu and you got everybody out here. So it's like the fantasy, right? But what's it like for you, as Tony's gotten older, Hall of Famer, A's Hall of Famer. What is it like when you accomplish so much in this game? What's it like when you guys just get back here in the locker room and you're talking with Tony?
I think I'm going to speak for myself, and there might be other players that feel the same way. But while you're playing the game, and even once you're kind of out of the game, you really don't ever give yourself or a lot of credit for stuff that you accomplished. 3 World Series appearances, World Series champ, MVP, All-Star, blah, 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 stuff like that. But when you get your group together, like now, so when Tony walked into that room and we go to the coach's room and we start reminiscing about stories, we'll go, oh, what about that play? And what about that situation? And man, I think this was the best team, coming from Tony's words, that he was ever privileged to manage. It's when you start reminiscing and talking amongst yourselves that you almost like take a step back and realize, man, what we did was pretty cool. What we did, was pretty special. We had a very unique group of guys, and we sat inside that room, and you kind of went to third base, and then we went to shortstop, who was playing short, and then we went to Jose, how good of an offensive player and defensive player he was early in his career. He patrolled right field, arguably should have got a Gold Glove one of those years. Then you go to Dave, and then you go to Ricky, and you talk and laugh and joke and tease, and then you kind of like out of body experience. You step back a little bit and go, man, that's right. We did a lot. We were pretty good. We had a lot of fun, and yeah, I can kind of see why, a lot of these campers are like, hey, nice to meet you, Mr. Steinbach. Nice to meet you, Mr. Hanford, but you kind of forget about that. As a
you
player.
guys were rock stars.
Well, I don't want to go, but
you were.
Yeah, we had fun.
I was in high school. Jose Canseco, and so I've gotten to do quite a bit with Jose. And because Jose, it is what it is, right? There's a crowd that loves him. There's a crowd that doesn't. Bottom line is, when I was growing up, Jose Canseco was the biggest star in baseball.
He was an integral part of our team, period. And I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, do we agree with everything that happened, everything he did? No. But you go back, yeah. And focus on, what did he do to help us win? What did he do to help us get these rings? He's part of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that, I think it was 5-7 years ago, he finally started to come back. I think it was one of the reunion teams that we had, that he kind of, I don't know what he said he came back. Or said he was going to come back. And for us, it was good to see him. It's like, damn, Jose, you're an idiot, but man, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
God, those years were fun. Look at this reunion that we're having. Look at all the people that are cheering for us.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I don't know, what do you want to say? Like bury the hatchet, or all of us have probably done dumb things in our life, but it doesn't ruin you forever. You know what I mean? So for me, yeah, it was good to see him back, because he was part of those teams. We had tremendous stories, like you're saying. We can, the home run in the Sky Dome that's up in the 5th deck. And I'll never forget, the photographer went up the next day, took a picture where the ball landed and where home plate was. And home plate was this tiny little dot, and you're going, man, and we reminisce about the stadiums that we would go to. And you have Canseco, McGuire, and Dave Henderson in Group 4. And Mac's case, Jose's case, we're at Fenway Park, and they're hitting 90% of the balls over and out of Fenway Park. And the Boston fans, how persnickety they are, they saw that performance. In BP, they stood up and gave that group a standing O. You don't see that, especially at Boston, but that's how special that group of people we had, and the talent that we had.
One guy, I want to bring it up because I watched it. I watch a lot of MLB Network. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of it. And I was watching the Dave Cobra documentary, and to watch the part, once again, I'm in high school at the time. You guys are the biggest, because 88, 80, I graduate in 90. So 88, 89, 90. These are my formative baseball years. I'm going to play baseball in college. Baseball is everything for me. You guys are the number one team. And it got to the part, because they go through the whole Pittsburgh, and then it goes to Cincinnati, and then it's the Dave Parker coming to Oakland, and you're like, Dave Parker swinging that sledgehammer in the on-deck circle. He's the veteran guy. He's been all-star. He's been MVP. He's been this. What was it like when just old man Dave Parker, who was larger than life, personality-wise, career-wise, shows up to help you guys win a World Series?
100% larger than life, but consistent with what the A's did and who the A's brought in. Yeah, Dave, you're great. Yeah, I look at your accolades. But coming from him and joining us, he says, what can I do to be part of this team? What can I contribute to make this group of guys a winning team? What can we do to get to the World Series? What can we do to win, the World Series? And when you hear that coming from a guy like Dave Parker and the credentials and accolades that he already had, it was like, hell yeah, we can do this. And having him part of that was fantastic. And I'll never forget it. He's been out of the game, and I was out of the game. We were at some function where it might have been an autograph show. I can't remember what it was, but I see him, and I'm thinking, well, here's Dave Parker. Look at, yes, a teammate of mine and World Series champion, but all the other stuff he's done. And the first thing he does comes and gives you a big old hug and says, Steiny, I can't believe how much fun we had in those years. That was fun. I'm going, you got a whole career that you could go back and reflect on. And yet he felt that way about the group of people that we assembled for those teams.
So there was a time over at NBC doing A's pre. I know he's got to go. I got to get this. So we're doing the pre and post game show for NBC, Stu and I.
Yeah.
And we started getting into a story about how he loved to mess with you. And there was this time in Toronto he messed with you, but then he had the whole thing of Bud Lights for you after the game. And I was thinking, you were a young catcher. Bob Welch already established himself in the World Series. Dodgers, right? Here's Dave Stewart, 20-game winner. You were a young guy dealing with some veteran big names. Here comes Eckersley. Eckersley's turned his career around, but Eckersley had already thrown a no-hitter in 120 games. You dealt with a Honeycutt. You dealt with a lot of veteran guys as a young catcher through those great years. What was that like?
Mike Moore, Bobby Welch.
Yeah.
We'll throw those names in there. Yes, it was hard. They couldn't have been more helpful. They through the attitude of the A's system, and I mean Dave Duncan as the pitching coach, Renee Latchman as our catching coach, the meetings that we had with Dunk and the pitchers prior to games, and the willingness and the ability of me wanting to learn, and their patience and their experience of saying, hey, this guy is going to be our catcher. We're going to work with him. And we tease a lot about Stu. I give this story all the time because Tony was big on momentum of the game. The catcher, it's your job to be in sync with what the pitcher's doing. And he wanted a fast-paced game. Defense keeps on track. We want to get our hitters off the field, get them back on in the batter's box so we can score runs. And Stu had a series of signs, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I put 1 down, all right? And Stu wipes. He wipes 2, 3, 4, 1. Right back to 1, winds up and throws the pitch. Well, what the hell? That's just what I called, So I wait, we wait till the game's over, and again, the buckets of beer, and we're talking shop, and we're reminiscing. I'm going, Stu, I gotta talk to you. What? I said, what the hell happened in the 5th inning? What do you mean the 5th inning? I put down 1, and you went 2, 3, 4, 1. Why wouldn't you just put what I called down? And he starts laughing. Steiny, I don't want you to think that you know what the hell you're calling. And to this day, we just brought that up the other night. And we laugh about it. But the good thing was that group of pitchers were willing enough to work with me. And I was willing to do what I could for them. And we had Stu, which is a good forkball pitcher. I had to block balls with guys on third. Mike Moore was a good forkball pitcher. Had to block balls with a guy on third. And once you show those pitchers that you have the ability and the knowledge and to do that, they feel comfortable. Hey, I got a big strikeout here. We got 2 outs. Guy on third and Joe Carter's on deck. We got to get this hitter out. Fork balls the pitch in the dirt, block it, catch it, tag the guy out. We're out of the inning. And once they know that they confidently they can do that, and you're going to knock that ball down, you gain a lot of respect.
All right, what time do you want people in tonight?
I want them in so they can perform.
What time? You tell me a time.
Let's go midnight. No later than midnight. I don't want any special rooms going on tonight, all right? When the bar closes, it's closed.
Well, I was going to negotiate till 11. You're going midnight?
Well, they might have to drink their wounds tonight. Last night they drank their successes. Tonight it's going to be the other way.
You have my word. It will be shut down at midnight.
Remember, we just said this phrase today. If you're going to hoot with the Owls, you have to soar with the Eagles.
If you're going to hoot with the Owls at night, you got to soar with the Eagles in the morning.
You got it. Make sure my club knows that.
And unfortunately, your club didn't bring that today.
The Eagle was not flying, or the Eagle hasn't flown yet today. Let's put it that way.
Okay, maybe what I'll do, last round of Gatorades, just so we can get everybody electrolytes and get everybody for the night.
Whatever it takes. We'll find out tomorrow.
You know what you mean in A's history and to all these fans. You mean a lot, and it's always great. And to get you out of the snow, get you out of Minnesota, get you here in the sun. It's a little bit better. You stay here for the month?
Yeah, we're staying here. We got friends of ours. We got a condo rented. We'll leave the 30th, 31st, depending on what the weather is. If it's colder, we'll stay that one extra day.
Always great having you on.
Thanks for having us. And again, I appreciate the A's fans. They've been fantastic.